Hi y'all, hi everybody. Thank you for coming to my channel. Today I'm just going to give a rundown of the Capitol riot charges and some of the facts and numbers from that, and talk a little bit about some of the people that were involved in it. And approximately 275 individuals have been charged with crimes associated with the Capitol assault as of now. And that number is going to increase. There's about 540 plus open files on subjects that are still, more arrests are still going to come out of this once they get a little bit more information, get their investigations rounded out, and there will be probably many more arrests. I'm pretty sure, and at least 82 people have been indicted by grand juries, and the rioters caused about $30 million worth of damage, and, well, in that estimate is also the need for increased security measures, which clearly that needs to be done. And then 18 conspiracy charges against certain militias, and one oath keeper has been, or about 2 oath keepers, I think, have been charged with crimes of terrorism so far. And I'm sure that number is going to increase because they're really looking at a lot of the organized type of militia groups and the little conspiracy type, I want to say, plans that were put together, maybe premeditated, of the 18 charges I just mentioned. I think that conspiracy charge will definitely go up because a lot of this, the ones that were really easy to locate and arrest, were the ones who were posting videos on social media and, making fools of themselves and posting the evidence that they committed crimes. So that was really easy for them to be arrested. But the intricacies of all the maybe premeditated or militia groups that have made plans, or well, a lot of it was on social media, even through the militia groups. A lot of them did post some things on social media to alert members to be there at a certain time, or bring weapons, or do something, of that nature. They're putting out the call. So a lot of that was on social media also with the militia groups. But a lot of it was through text messaging and private messages between members. So that still has to be investigated. And so a lot of these numbers will, they will go up on those charges also. And I think 20 destruction of government property charges have been assessed so far, and that number is really going to go up, I'm pretty sure, because so many people were breaking windows, and just tearing up property and destroying parts of the Capitol building. So that number definitely will go up. And 40 charges of assault on a law officer, and that carries a penalty up to 20 years in prison. So that's a lot of people may not think that's one of the biggest charges, but it really is, because it's got a serious penalty for it. Because if you're going to go around assaulting law officers, that means you're a danger to the rest of the public. If you are going to assault somebody who carries a weapon, who has a badge, then they consider you to be more dangerous than the average person. If you assault just an average public citizen. So that charge is that's going to be a long charge if you get convicted of it. And 195 people arrested or charged with being in a restricted building or on the grounds of the Capitol illegally, entering it illegally. And then there's 5 people that were currently employed in law enforcement while they were rioting, and 4 of those have been fired, and I believe one might have been suspended. It's pending investigation of their job status. And 22 of them were military veterans, and 11 were from the Marines, 8 from the Army, 2 from the Navy, and 1 from the Air Force. And these these people in these two particular groups, in law enforcement and military veterans, they have military benefits that they could lose. Law enforcement has really good pension programs usually, and they have a lot to lose. Not to mention the fact that they were trusted by the public, to protect the public. This is why they join these agencies, law enforcement, or either enter into the military service, is to protect, not to attack your own people. So that not only it destroys their character whenever they do something like this, not just the monetary loss of pensions and other benefits, but it tarnishes your shield permanently. So that's just horrible that they made that kind of decision. And there were approximately people were from approximately 42 different states, and a lot of the large numbers were from 24 so far from Texas that have been arrested, 21 from New York, and Florida and Pennsylvania have a number of 19. And these figures will probably change as they make more arrests and make more charges, depending on how many indictments or whatever those numbers, other states may grow according if they're investigating a militia in a certain state, and if they end up arresting, numerous members of that militia. Excuse me, my throat is getting dry. And of the groups that were there, there was members from the Oath Keepers, the Three Percenters, the Proud Boys, the Texas Freedom Force, and also QAnon. And I believe there was like some smaller fringe, right-wing groups that they really weren't in the... I don't know if any other people from other groups have been arrested, but these are from the ones that they have arrested people from. And if there are smaller fringe groups, there may be arrests from those too. And there was tons of different militias from other states, members of, maybe not the whole militia was there, but there were members from just a lot of different militia groups, and they may have been there individually, and they may have been there with their particular militia group. So those investigations are also pending. And of the people arrested so far, 29 women have been arrested. And what I have to say about that is, you made probably the dumbest decision you've ever made, especially if you have children, and if you are a single mother, or if your partner was there and you have children with that partner, and that person was arrested, and now you're arrested. You have really, I want to say, made possibly the worst decision in your life as a woman. It's bad enough that you can make horrible decisions about who you marry, or some kind of horrible life circumstance, but this is probably the worst one you've probably ever made so far. And now the ages range of people arrested from age 18 to 70. And the average age of the person there was 42. So to be in the prime of your life and to be arrested and to go through these types of charges, you've worked so many decades, and then you do something like this, you've done it to yourself. No matter what excuse you use. And a lot of people did use the excuse that they were coming to the call of President Trump. And I don't think that excuse is going to help them, really. I don't think, Trump he's not helping any of these people. And he has just turned a blind eye, turned his back. And he's trying to disassociate himself now with these people. And a lot of these people are using that defense. A lot of attorneys have made arguments with this defense already. And 118 people have posted bail. And my light's out. And have been arrested, and some of them have been allowed to go home on supervised release. One of the Oath members had top secret security clearance, and he's had that clearance for decades. And he also worked for the FBI. So to think that somebody who was in that position, in the top of the government chain of protecting our nation with top secret information, who knows what he said or told, militia groups or people that he's been in these conspiracy theories, and there's no telling what he did, what damage he did to this country. I think the 18-year-old kid, he's legally an adult, but in his mind, you make such stupid decisions sometimes when you're that young. His name is Bruno Kua, and he was indicted by a federal grand jury for illegal entry of the Capitol, assaulting a police officer, and carrying a deadly and dangerous weapon, which he had a baton with him. And these were misdemeanor charges until, they were upgraded to a felony because he was carrying a weapon. So his charges went from a misdemeanor 1 year to felony 10 years. He really, when people can get sucked into something like this at such a young age, and I think it's horrible, and although he is responsible for his actions because he is an adult legally, when other adults, especially older adults, who willfully lure people in, and especially younger people who haven't even really started their life, that's a despicable thing to do to somebody in that age. Because now he has to carry that on his own because he's an adult. And he did make the decision to do this. But the influence that an adult can have on somebody, and at that age, it's just a horrible situation for him. And the police officer, Eugene Goodman, that was being chased around by the mob, it was being led by Douglas Jensen, and he had a knife in his pocket, although he didn't brandish it, but he was threatening in his manner, in the way he was chasing Officer Goodman around, and at the head of that mob. He has a 7-count indictment against him now. And Vitaly Gostinkowski, he was carrying a taser into a restricted area, which that's another weapons enhancement. Anytime you bring any kind of weapon into a restricted area, like a Capitol building, a federal building, or anything like that, his 8 years has now been increased to 20 years possible if he gets convicted. And there were 2 Proud Boys, William Pepe and Dominic Pizzola. They have an 11-count indictment against them, and their thing was they broke in to kill as many people as possible, and especially Mike Pence, the vice president. And in their case, that's intent. When you make intent, when you're committing a crime with the intent to harm or kill somebody, they're probably going to get a lot of time for that, because intent is, the part of the law that can either set you free or, keep you in prison for the rest of your life. What you meant to do, that really does count. Like words, what you meant to do. And I believe that they did put something on social media, or there was some kind of memorialized evidence against them to kill as many people as possible. I think it was in a post. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was like direct messages between each other, or private messages, or if it was publicly posted. But that shows their intent. So that's probably one of the most serious cases that they have there. And then there's a really sad story about Jessica Watkins. She's a veteran of the Afghanistan war, and she was becoming, she owned a bar, and it was being shut down in COVID. So she was losing her livelihood, and she was becoming, more disenfranchised from, I guess, I don't want to say reality, because I don't know. I didn't see an interview with her, and I don't know how she was speaking or how her state of mind was. But with just the whole COVID situation, having things shut down, businesses shut down, and seeing all the, it affected her personally and her financial situation, and seeing other businesses, things like that happening around in her neighborhood, in her area. She formed her own militia in, I believe it was in the state of Ohio, and she really did inform it with the intention to, in the state of disaster, that they would be able to help people, and it would be a militia for helping and not for crazy insurrections, the stuff that happened at the Capitol. And I think that a few times that her militia was called out by other militia groups or other type of right-wing groups to go and help at Trump rallies and other political things. And I think she kind of got more swayed by the political side of it, although that's really not the intent. That her boyfriend was stating all this in an interview, and that's where I'm drawing this from. And she ended up at the Capitol building and getting arrested for, committing crimes against her own country, and that's a really sad story, because for a veteran of war who came back and owned their own business and formed a group to help the community, ends up, because of the political unrest and the things that are going on at that moment with the election, with Trump, and the way people were feeling in that party, for her to be drawn into something like that and end up, being arrested and possibly going to prison. That's a really, really sad story. I mean, that's just a horrible outcome of all this. The outcomes of what has happened to these people's lives and things that are happening to them, the charges they're facing, the financial ruin that they're facing, the loss of friends and possibly family members that may have turned their back on them because of their way of thinking and things that are happening. And think about things before you do it, before you make a really important decision in your life. Think how it's going to affect you, your family, and your future, and the whole of everything around you. Okay. Thank you all, and have a good night, and I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.